This is Cybernet, reporting from the embroiled region of Kurdistan. I can now confirm that an unidentified Iranian ground force is in the process of converging on our current location, here at the isolated junction of Sultan's Dagger Ridge and the Wadi Akaret. An Army scout helicopter has just reported observing not one, but two, previously undetected mechanized formations. However, the immediate concern of our Marine Recon platoon is Albeit itself, and the armed insurgents that... Holy cow. Mac, did you get that? Did you get that? A building within the embattled village behind us has just collapsed to the ground.
New contacts. South by southeast. Wrap it up, guys. Now.
Our Marine escorts are informing us of a new on-site development. We will attempt to investigate. With photojournalist Macro Lens, this is Cybernet reporting.
Less than 24 hours prior, the biggest problem facing the Marines of Company A, 4th LAR, was the possibility of a premature deployment to Al Jazeera in the hunt for the nuclear terrorist faction. With the coming of a new day, however, they find themselves entangled in an unanticipated conflict that grows more menacing with each passing moment. During the last few minutes, the ordinarily innocuous village of Albeit has turned into a cauldron of close-quarter combat between this handful of leathernecks and a contingent of armed Iranian operatives. Despite being the intended targets of an impromptu nocturnal ambush, these savvy scouts have turned the tables on their adversary and captured the entire north sector of the village at no cost to themselves in men or material. For all intents and purposes, only a mopping up action of the south sector remains in order for the Americans to secure their objective. Regardless, the insurgents still possess other more covert means of violent opposition, as the Marines will soon find out. The time is 0300 hours. Having incurred the first and only U.S. casualty of the encounter thus far, Delta Team evacuates the southwest hot zone in order to provide Coyote 4 with an unencumbered line of sight to the fragile building that houses their attackers. Unleashing its rapid-firing main armament, the vehicle's high-explosive rounds easily penetrate the exterior walls and proceed to obliterate the structure's internal contents, which includes the lone surviving enemy occupant located on the far side of the dwelling. Wishing to avoid another incident like that which befell the scout team leader only moments earlier, the LAV maintains an obligatory volume of fire until the entire structure buckles under its own weight and ultimately consumes its undesirable tenants. Witnessing this action from the adjacent rooftop, the last active insurgent of the aforementioned Firefight forsakes his fanaticism for self-preservation. However, in his attempt to sneak to the stairwell, he is met by the flying lead of a Charlie team that is hawkishly searching for unauthorized activity from atop a nearby building. With the advent of these casualties, all that is left of rebel resistance in Albeit is the hidden two-man command team and the final holdout from the rebel squad that previously relocated to the neighboring single-story domicile. Although 2nd Platoon's systematic destruction of the insurgent element occupying the village has been by the book and quite impressive, these radicals are now the least of their concerns. Captain Rick's C-2 quickly transitions into the village's north compound in order to set up a field command post. Once in position, he and his adjutant exit the vehicle and head directly for the easternmost multi-story building. Their intent is not only to join their fellow Marines in action, but to also establish an observation post for the pending defense of the Albeit bottleneck. Meanwhile, Alpha Team departs said building and makes their way to the neighboring southeast multi-story structure to renew their sweep for hostiles and/or any stray civilians. If this tiny scout troop did not have enough bugs in the soup already, their tactical insecurities have just manifested. The recognizable clatter of tracked vehicles is now within earshot. To the south, the bucolic dirt road from nowhere leads yet another Iranian reconnaissance unit towards the village. This column, however, is composed of something slightly more formidable than simple armored cars. The Russian-built BMP-1 is a fully tracked 12-ton infantry transport and fire support vehicle, akin in many ways to the LAV-25, including its limited aquatic conveyance capability. Unlike its lightly armored counterpart, its original function was the mobile delivery of combat troops directly onto an active battlefield. Designed in the late 1950s, the BMP was the world's first true infantry fighting vehicle. It combined the protection of an armored personnel carrier with the punch of a light tank. Despite having a remarkably low profile, sporting an array of useful weaponry, and still existing in large numbers throughout the world, the BMP's status as a redoubtable frontline tool of war has been countered by advances in technology. For those nations that continue to employ its services, its primary role is now that of reconnaissance duty. Perhaps its most egregious deficiency comes in the form of crew safety, being that its rear-mounted infantry access doors also serve as external fuel tanks. Informed of the presence of this new threat via C2 communication with the scout chopper, Coyote 3 reverses into the eastern threshold of the village and scans the southern horizon for activity, while Coyote 1 maintains tabs on the advanced recon element still active on the east flank. Within moments, Coyote 3 detects the approaching BMPs and promptly engages the lead vehicle with their 25mm cannon. Their attack is not only abrupt, it's unyielding. The ensuing series of violent shell impacts renders the IFV inert. Its crew and passengers waste no time in extricating themselves from the potential metal coffin. Awakened by the sudden dismissal of the point vehicle, the trailing BMPs switch into seek and destroy mode. Upon ascertaining the position of the offending fire, one excited crew snap-fires a wire-guided AT missile, which promptly loses target lock and plows into the ground, well short of the partially exposed LAV. Although Coyote 3 quickly alters its focus of fire to engage the active threat, their luck is about to run out. The Iranian command vehicle follows suit with a missile launch of their own. Holding true to course, this warhead finds its mark. Impacting the vehicle's center mass, the LAV is finished. The only saving grace, the four-man crew all survive the attack. With 2 men wounded, they promptly bail out and scurry to safer ground. Taking up position at the upper level of the fortress's keep, the survivors of the second section of Iranian armored cars attempt to observe the action taking place on the desert floor. Devoid of anything resembling night vision gear, these scouts can barely discern the maneuvering of the Marines and are therefore rendered ineffectual. Having leveled the rebels' West Gate stronghold, Coyote 4 is directed to traverse the village interior and relocate to the south wall in order to bolster the defensive firepower there, whilst using the security barrier as an improvised rampart. Their transition catches the attention of the hidden ground-level insurgent, who can do nothing but watch the vehicle's passage and await targets of a softer nature. On the heels of Coyote 4's departure, Delta Team races to the site of the newly collapsed building to seek out their team leader and render medical assistance. While the corpsman tends to their fallen sergeant, the other 2 troopers employ the rubble as a makeshift parapet. On the opposite side of the village, Alpha Team methodically searches the southeast multi-story structure, fully expecting an insurgent trap. However, their only finding is that of another unoccupied building. Not only are there no rebels, the civilians of Albeit are conspicuously absent. Concurrently, Captain Rix settles into the elevated OP that will serve as his office for the balance of the mission.
While my adjutant and I were still in transit to the roof, a nearby explosion rattled the building we were in. Upon arrival, I discovered the abandoned wreck of Coyote 3, on the gravel road directly beneath us. Given the circumstances, this sighting was a little disheartening. The loss of even a single IFV diminished our already limited force strength profoundly. Therefore, I ordered all 3 of the remaining Coyotes to refocus their attentions outside the village, and onto the mech unit that was now threatening the platoon's southern flank. Securing the primary objective was now the sole responsibility of the scout troops. My LAV crews responded to their new task admirably. The aggressor BMPs were overwhelmed by a mass volley of explosive shells. The Iranians popped smoke in an attempt to conceal themselves, but at least 2 vehicles suffered significant damage and were unable to pursue the fight. With a combined total of 6 enemy BMPs and scout cars now crippled, or otherwise out of action, it was not necessary for me to employ the AT platforms quite yet. As such, I had these 2 particular LAVs, which were codenamed Fox 1 and 2, assume defil aid position and hold fire until more substantial targets presented themselves. Like say, Iranian heavy tanks, for instance. It was at this moment that a singular mortar impacted just outside the village, therein confirming certain suspicions that I harbored.
During the exchange of fire between the opposing IFVs, Coyote 2's commander emerges from his turret, his back facing the village interior. Afforded the chance to strike at an unsuspecting target, the insurgent HQ team finally acts, albeit foolishly. The radicals attempt to toss a hand grenade into the open hatch, but miss the mark. Alerted by the corresponding explosion, the Marine ducks back into his machine. The rebels' subsequent AK fire is futile at best, and only serves to bring the wrath of Charlie Team down upon them in succinct and lethal fashion. With 60% of the skirt recon unit's BMPs immobilized and in danger of further attack, the Iranian scouts disembark their transports and reform behind the localized smoke screen. Drifting in the westerly breeze, the clouds of gray phosphorus offer half of the troop a brief window of opportunity to transition to a set of outlying buildings just up the road. Though a risky trek, this domestic trading post represents their only real option for cover and forward observation. Meanwhile, the last 2 mobile BMPs pivot easterly and head directly for the only other available source of cover, the north-south dry wash running parallel to Sultan's Dagger Ridge. Fortunately for them, a slight undulation in the terrain conceals their silhouettes from the hunting prowess of their Marine counterparts. They attain access to the rocky depression without further harassment. On the flip side, one vehicle's bout with the Coyotes has left it with a damaged weapons control system. As for those scouts angling towards the trading post, the light wind and voluminous quantity of canister smoke serves them well. Attracting only minimum weapons fire, these soldiers manage to reach the outpost en masse, suffering but a single casualty. However, their only available heavy firepower, a single AT-4 section, lags well behind, their protective cloud quickly withering away into the ether.
This is the Sultan's Dagger, a monument to the history of warfare that plagued ancient Persia for centuries. Today, it stands as a symbol of renewed conflict between nations. It resides atop a protruding ridge, only a few hundred meters from Albeit, where we are now. Inside this village, the Marines of 4th LAR are still engaged in combat with the remnants of a band of insurgents who are attempting to hinder 2nd Platoon's effort to seize the facility. As you can see, the Marines have assumed primary control of the site, but apparently not without cost. Outside the village, another more ethereal story is taking shape. In recent minutes, a vanguard of Iranian mechanized units arrived from both the south and east. Although the Marines have inflicted severe damage on this advanced element, the opposition's presence here does not bode well for such a small detachment of US warriors. For VNN, this is CyberNet reporting from northern Iraq.
Indeed. At this stage of events, what truly lies in store for this minute band of leathernecks is a mystery to them, including the unadvertised arrival of a new set of combatants whose purpose is more than that of ordinary conscripts. For now, the Marines can only pursue their mission with discipline and grace under fire. You're watching Tales of Virtual Combat on His Story International.